Second round of the Europa Conference League qualifiers, facing off with Swedish club IFK Norrköping. We lost the first leg.
These players, they're horrible. My players are no good.
There are 3 stages we have to go through in order to be in Europe. To avoid an underwhelming start to the season, we brought back Kalemba from Mainz, 750k out of our 2.6 million budget. A couple of wonder kids arrived too, including Kazimierz Novak from Arka Gdynia. For 275k, he looks to be our future striker if Tomczyk falls off. Arka would also buy a couple of our soy boys too. Finally, Franko Jaroszewicz became our cup keeper. Of course, with a last name like that, he is part Polish. No foreign signing yet, but could we overturn the Swedish deficit? Of course! Tomczyk would grab a brace in the opening half hour, giving us the advantage at the break. Unfortunately, the tie would be equalized minutes after the restart. Our opponents were eliminated by Cracovia in the Europa League qualifiers via pens. We wouldn't have to enter that territory, as Pindor found the winner just before the clock struck 52. On to the third round, which is the furthest this club has ever gotten to, if we don't count the Intertoto Cup. Unfortunately, losing to Dutch side NAC Breda sent them out ages ago. This time, we draw Heerenveen. With some of the players they had and their valuations, you couldn't blame me for being worried. Those thoughts were eased pretty quickly when our guy Pindor became a miracle maker. Heerenveen were surprisingly held down, and while their presence increased in the second, ours would overpower them. So much so, a ghost penalty was given, handing us a 2-0 lead.
The referee is a tit.
Then, Pindor's competition on the right, Pawłowski, would make it 3. To stun the group with hearts on their badge, soon to be loaned out soy boy Vidra made it 4. There is no escaping that deficit, as we moved on to the 4th and final round quite easily. Between Sporting and Zuid Waregem, thankfully it was the Belgian club, as they dropped down to face us. Surprisingly finishing in 3rd, they didn't seem to have as strong of a team compared to Heerenveen. That would show as we completely destroyed them 4-0 at home. A rotated side in the second leg did lose, but we secured proper European football for Polonia for the first time ever. Meanwhile, the Ekstraklasa was fine, barring the loss to Lucas Podolski again. This will be the last time you hear from him, as in November, he'd move to Estrela da Amadora in Portugal, who were at the bottom of the table. To be fair, Lehia was a sinking ship, he quintuple his wage, and keep them up. With European squad registration occurring before our transfer deadline day, there was some drama. Liam Morrison, who scored this banger,
Did you see that?
Well, his release clause was matched by Rangers on the same day as registration. I had a deal to go through for a different Scot named Dominic Hyen, and to be fair, he was an upgrade. Sadly, we'd see the exit of Jan Majsterak, who's been here since the start. 3 loans then arrived on deadline day. Rakus Jakumonczyk as our starter in the Ekstraklasa, Ivo Kaczmarski from Empoli, and Niko Adamczyk via Borussia Dortmund. And the latter two would immediately get injured. With these 6 fixtures in the Conference League, the minimum is to finish in the top 24. With no English side present, this competition was wide open. There were clear favorites like Villarreal, who we faced in November and narrowly lost to. Besiktas in December was the same story, except the goal should have never happened. We did get wins, such as against St. Gallen. Also, Casa Club Kairat Almaty were dealt in similar fashion. However, we were lucky not to lose to Slovenian champions Celje. Pawłowski scored a pen to give us the lead, yet after their equalizer, they dominated the remainder of the match, only for Jaroszewicz to keep them out. Finally, Hapoel Beersheva were about to be defeated with Kalemba's late strike. Then in the 93rd minute, they'd equalize, which at that point killed the hope of top 8. In fact, we placed 20th and risked facing some damn good teams. Returning our focus onto the Polish competitions, similar to the summer months, it was alright, winning many games, but doing the opposite on several occasions. The increase of European football definitely impacted us. It'd also be nice if the schedule makers would stop giving us Lech and Rakov back to back, as we dropped points in both. A lot of the main guys were still performing well, especially Gura, who scored in a massive derby win over Legia Warszawa. Tomczyk scored too, and Pindor continued to get game winners. However, these favorites were causing jealousy among other players who were on the bench. Hulk Hogan, for one, didn't like being on the left. Then for Novak and Pawłowski, both expected more game time. This wasn't helped when we dropped games in November. The alternate 3 were at least doing a good job in the Puchar Polski, helping us to finally advance to the quarters. In the Ekstraklasa, we were in first place, although mostly due to Rakov and others being below par. That didn't stop the complaining, as I promised Novak and Pavlovsky to increase their minutes in the new year, while Hulk, I'm sorry man, I prefer you off the bench. The Conference League on the other hand was set to the classic front three of Gura, Tomczyk, and Pindor. In our playoff round against the 9th to 16th place team, Lille, Panathinaikos, and the Cruninho-less Boavista were the obvious challenges. Our opponents would be the Greek side. The first leg will be at home, in front of a fairly empty stadium. Apparently, our regular place isn't good enough for UEFA, so they forced us into the Narodowy, which is the national stadium. Don't let the empty seats fool you. We broke several of our attendance records. Panathinaikos were clearly the better 11 on paper, and we were missing a key player. Michal Roszak joining on a free was a crucial reason why we got to this point. In my head though, I always said if we can receive 5 million, I'll let him go. Clubs have tried, but Celtic became the first club to actually make an offer in the millions. Roszak seemed eager to move there, and despite signing a long-term deal, I didn't want to deal with his unhappiness. So when Celtic offered a package that can increase to over 5 million with a massive sell and non-profit clause, I reluctantly said yes. I also thought it was a good step in his career to start at Celtic. He was immediately loaned to Coventry. His replacement, Christos Kourfalidis, unfortunately arrived long after the registration deadline, leading to this 11. An 11 that shut out Panathinaikos. 0-0 wasn't an exciting watch. However, it gave us a slim chance in Greece. The second leg began brilliantly. Arak? We scored! Is it onside though? Goal review? Let's go, we're up! Surviving the remainder of the 90 was going to be a task, especially when Panathinaikos got close in the 24th. 5 minutes later, we'd inch closer. Ooh, Bugai is open. Bugai, one more pass. Tomczyk! Yes! No, he's offside? 2-0 would have made me confident. Instead, our opponents were able to get one back prior to the half. An incredible shot, and now one mistake would be detrimental to either side. That error would occur with Gura's misplaced pass on a counter-attack. Countering that counter, spaces were left open as Georgos Nikolas took the lead for the Greeks. We couldn't respond, ending our European nights. It got worse. We won the 2 extra classic games that preceded each leg, but drew Lechia Gdansk after our elimination. The midweek matches continued versus LKS Łódź, who, I'm not sure if I mentioned, is a competitive rival to us. With goals from both sides in extra time, we were forced into a penalty shootout. Hulk Hogan opening with a dink was a great omen. The reliable Oyedele then was stopped. So was Novak, bringing us down 3-1. Thankfully, Youth Academy player Mariusz Vidra got the second, and our keeper finally made us stop. With the tallies at 3-2, Pavlovsky needed to score, and he did whatever the hell this was. Entering the Jagiellonia encounter, we were 7 points clear at the top. Even better, we cooked Jagiellonia. 4 found in the first half, seeing each alternate front 3 attacker getting a goal. Yeah, we almost balled it, but that victory would be added with 2 more. Novak and Pavlovsky took advantage of a 10-man Wisła Płock. Slonsk meanwhile saw our 2 defensive midfielders find the back of the net. With 9 fixtures to go, we were 11 clear at the top. The title seemed to be wrapped up, with every club in Poland struggling and Gura returning from injury. That's what I would say if we didn't have to deal with Lech and Rakov. Lech Poznan were still in the fight for Europe, yet their struggles from a year ago still lingered. And our Scot Dominik Hayam opened the encounter. Unfortunately, they'd scored consecutively prior to the half. In the last 45, we needed our Scot once again to rescue a draw. A similar outcome occurred hosting Rakov. A 9-point gap is nothing to be scared of. At least, it shouldn't have been. Cracovia weren't returning to Europe with their elimination to Lille in the round of 16, and they played like a side who should have been destroyed by us. Several opportunities were presented, but with miscommunication between Bugai and Przybylski, our opponents would open the scoring. More opportunities were blocked and missed, as we finally lost in the Ekstraklasa after 11 undefeated. Widzew Łódź didn't go much better. Despite their early red card, the attempts were all from us, even an 86-minute penalty, which didn't give us what we wanted. Even worse, Gura got injured for a month, Going 4 winless resulted in a 6-point gap with 5 fixtures left. The timing of this form was brutal, especially with the Warsaw derby next. Legia couldn't bear to see us lift the Ekstraklasa for the first time since 2000, and they did their job by stunning us with 3 first half goals. Similar to the 6-2 result a few years back, nothing we did would prevent another loss. 4 points above Zagłębie Lubin and 5 above Raków. This was looking ugly. With Góra out and both Novak and Tomczyk not having any form, I decided to shift things around and start Hulk up top with Pindor and Pawłowski on the wings versus Stal Mielec. Playing on the left, the latter would grab his own rebound 2 minutes in. Then, in the last 15, Bugaj found the Hulkster to confirm our victory. Afterwards, we learned that Lubin drew and Raków lost to Lech. Now, a 6-point gap. Lubin would draw Łódź, meaning we could win the Ekstraklasa with a victory. A 1-1 draw at half brought a sense of unease, but a couple of subs would confirm the inevitable. Pawłowski's rebound found Paweł Tomczyk for the lead, and in the 70th, Kasper Pindor would grab the eventual game-winning and title-clinching goal. For the first time since 2000, Polonia Warszawa were the Ekstraklasa winners. Champions of Poland once more. It'd be easy to say that we'd made significant improvements from the previous campaign.
That's absolutely not true.
In reality, we finished with less points. Everybody else was just crap.